So in the mid '70s, you were playing guitar in around Canada, I guess, with a touring kind of artist, playing that electric guitar you love to play.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then, so tell me about what happened between then, kind of what life was between then and in 1982 when you had that #5 single with Gary Morris.
Well, I was lucky enough to play guitar for this Canadian singer-songwriter by the name of Ian Tyson, who he's kind of like Gordon Lightfoot as far as Canadian, but he wrote he wrote Gordon Lightfoot's first #1 song, and he had a big following up there, an amazing singer-songwriter, and I was his band leader. And so I had Canadian musicians that were playing with me, and we toured all over Canada, which was incredible. I lived in Calgary for a while and almost moved up there, but Ian was a great songwriter. Four Strong Winds was one of them. Someday Soon is another big one. And because of that, he was a big fan of mine, which meant a lot to me that Ian Tyson liked what I was doing. And so he let me open his shows up with the band playing original material. And he was also very encouraging about moving to Nashville, Tennessee. So in 1980, I left Ian and moved to Nashville. And it was one of those things when I got there, I just started going around and trying to meet people. And I met a guy who had gone to Bloomington, Indiana University, where my wife had gone to graduate school. And he heard some of my songs, and I thought he would hire me as a writer, but he hired me to be a tape copy guy. Now, back then, you had reel to reels where if you were pitching a song, you had to put a song from a master to a little reel and splice it together and pitch the songs that way. It just boggles my mind. So you're working with razor blades all the time, which isn't really good for a songwriter or a guitar player. But so he heard me play guitar and he started using me on some sessions and stuff. And then finally he said, well, why don't we write a little bit? And so we got together and wrote some songs. And one of them was a song called Headed for a Heartache. And at the time, we had 20 record labels in Nashville. Now I think we have 3. And every one of them had softball teams. And it was a very competitive thing. And the guy that I wrote it with was a big athlete. And so he was on the same team as a guy by the name of Gary Morris. And Gary Morris had a record deal on Warner Brothers. And so in the middle of the softball game, he gave Gary a cassette of this song. And Gary ended up recording it, and it got to be a top 5 song. And it was really interesting because I thought it would take at least 4 years for something to happen. And in a year and a half, a whole lot of things started happening. I got like 6 or 8 songs cut. And I thought, well, this is easy. That was a mistake to say that. I think there's more inner luck.
Yeah, when you start saying stuff like that, God kind of puts you in your place a little bit sometimes.
Exactly. And so the good thing was, Headed for Heartache, I think I was the only guy who had a top 10 song who would write with Garth when he came to town. And that was the reason he wanted to write with me. And I heard from so many people that I knew afterwards, well, hell, if I'd known he was going to be Garth, I would have written with him. But,
What?
you just never know.